Now, peace talks between Russian and Ukrainian representatives are currently taking place this Monday. Ukraine is demanding an immediate ceasefire and the withdrawal of Russian troops. Kiev insisting there are no preconditions to the talks. Ukraine's President Vladimir Zelensky, meanwhile, says he's skeptical of the outcome, but he's willing to try. For more, we can bring in France 24's international affairs editor Philip Turl. Good to see you, Philip. Can a diplomatic solution be reached now, or is it too late?
Well, I think it's never too late to reach a diplomatic solution. It's just a case of whether both sides want to reach that diplomatic solution. And I think this is going to be more for the cameras, more for the domestic consumption, especially as far as Russia is concerned on Russian media, to show that, well, Russian officials have met with Ukrainian officials on the border with Belarus, but those Ukrainian officials don't want to go any further or accept our demands for ending the conflict. That is why we are doing the right thing by pushing into Ukraine to get rid of this nationalist regime, which is committing genocide in the east of the country. Basically, Ukraine is being run by a bunch of Nazis, which, of course, everybody knows is not true. On the Ukrainian side, I think President Zelensky is keen to show that he's doing everything he possibly can to try to reach some kind of ceasefire with the Russians. He's made it clear that he doesn't believe these talks are going to go very far. There's no mediator, there's no agenda which has already been set out, but he's going to try to show goodwill with the Russians to try to work out some kind of solution. It won't be President Zelensky meeting President Putin. This is just a discussion between delegations from both sides. But I think the opinion from many observers is that this probably isn't going to go very far, and it will just be maybe a delaying tactic, and that's all. But we won't be seeing any kind of ceasefire.
Now, I wanted to ask you in a moment about what this whole Russian invasion has resulted in, because earlier today we had Ukraine's president who asked for the immediate membership of Ukraine to the European Union. Take a listen to what he had to say.
We appeal to the European Union for the immediate accession of Ukraine via a new special procedure. We are grateful to our partners for being with us. But our goal is to be with all Europeans and, most importantly, to be equal.
Philip Turl, can EU accession be fast-tracked?
Well, I think there's definitely growing pressure on the EU to let Ukraine in, and also to NATO to let Ukraine in. The big problem is that, well, we're right in the middle of a war. If Ukraine were to be given access to NATO, that would mean that NATO forces will be able to go in there. And I think there is a lot of reticence, particularly on the side of the United States, to do that, because they know that if NATO is allowed to go in to attack Russian forces, that is tantamount to
them
launching
being
World War III.
Exactly.
So I don't think that is something that's going to happen in the short term. But I think definitely if Russia comes out of this with a bloody nose and doesn't manage to take control of Ukraine, that will precipitate Ukraine's membership of NATO and maybe of the European Union. I mean, I'm just guessing here, but I suspect that will precipitate what we've seen across the European Union in the last few days was totally unthinkable just a week or so ago, where we have all of the countries coming together to make shipments of weapons to Ukraine, something that Sweden hasn't done since 1939, something Germany hasn't done since the end of the Second World War. So there's been this cohesion that has come together over the last week or so, and that is something I think that makes it clear that the European Union and the West is not willing to let Russia get away with what it wants and walk into Ukraine to take power.
But given that they've acted so swiftly in the past 3 days, could it be a sign that could be fast-tracked? Very briefly.
Well, I mean, I'm not in the secret negotiations that are taking place in Brussels at the moment, but I think that is definitely something that is being discussed. We're already hearing that, for example, Finland and Sweden are thinking about joining NATO. That's something that is relatively recent, and they weren't members of it principally because of fear of Russia. So, yes, there is a possibility that this could be fast-tracked, and this could be exactly what Vladimir Putin doesn't want. So it could all blow up in his face at the end of the day.
Thank you very much for that, Philip. Philip Tell there.